Hello, D&H partners, and welcome to this opportunity to learn how you can push the limits of productivity with Lenovo and NVIDIA workstations. I'm Stephen Babb, a program manager with D&H PartnerFi, and we're welcoming you on behalf of Aaron Buckner and Greg Brill from Lenovo. We're live right now, and this session is being recorded for on-demand viewing, so you can watch again and share it with a colleague. If you're joining us live, you have the ability to ask questions in that Q&A panel on your screen. I'll push some time-sensitive questions to our presenters, but anything else that I can answer behind the scenes and push out to you directly, I will. If you're watching us on demand, then I encourage you to email your D&H Lenovo specialist with a question. You can email them at lenovospecialist@dnh.com, and they'll get back to you directly with the answer. No matter how you're watching, you can access the resources from the experience in that labeled panel, including the slide deck that you'll see shortly. And as a PartnerFi project manager, I want to extend a special welcome to those partners who are in that community and taking advantage of the PartnerFi exclusive promotion during this live session. Lenovo was generous enough to raffle off some gift cards, so we'll do that during the session, and we'll follow up with you directly after this experience to welcome you with that prize on behalf of Lenovo. So now is a great time to turn your attention to your monitor as Aaron Buckner, our Senior ThinkStation Project Manager and Portfolio Lead at Lenovo, will introduce you to exciting opportunities to grow your business together. Aaron?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Stephen. And thank you, everybody on the phone. We appreciate your partnership very much. I think it's an exciting time overall to talk about workstations and what Lenovo's done in terms of not only product investment, but true solution investment as we look to a lot of different market opportunities where we can continue to co-sell and partner together on solving some of our customers' more advanced problems on the business side. So I'm going to spend about 25 minutes today giving you guys the lay of the land on why workstation, why now. So where's the opportunity to really present itself in terms of where we can skate to the puck. Then we'll go through just a quick recap of our mission statement, the 4 pillars that we build our workstation go-to-market strategy on, where we really invest the effort and energy to differentiate ourselves. We'll talk about some of those innovative products and solutions that we're bringing to market. A lot of exciting product and solutions based around our high-performance desktop workstation market, which I think the timing couldn't be better based on what we're seeing with some of the trends in the industry. And I'll give you guys an update on kind of what's new in 2023 across the portfolio, both desktop and mobile, as well as some high-level positioning guidance. I think it'll be very useful. I'm not going to spend too much time into kind of every vertical and sales segment where you want to position these products and solutions, more so as a takeaway resource you guys can take with you after the call and use it to collaborate and work with your workstation sales specialists across your Lenovo account team as needed to win together. So let's kind of take a look at what some of these trends are that inform our workstation strategy, but also why we should should care about workstations, where our customers want to invest their IT budget dollars. Obviously, the 2 bookends here with simulation, 3D animation, continuing to see double-digit CAGR growth through the next 5-6 years, and these are table stakes for workstations. So much more of the world in terms of digital transformation, the professional design and engineering spaces are becoming more compute intense, more data hungry, and at the end of the day, while we at Lenovo, we certainly engineer and innovate some amazing devices on the more appealing kind of thin and light side when it comes to mobile workstations or even miniaturized desktop workstations. At the end of the day, our crux is going to be performance. We want to give our customers the most performance possible to run the rendering at the quickest speed possible if you're talking about 3D animation and visual effects, game development, etc. Or if you're working on more complex solving in simulation, whether it's an ANSYS in manufacturing or some of the more parallel processing, parallel compute hungry performance needs in that world from product design, engineering and construction perspective. That's obviously the core traditional workstation opportunities, and we want to deliver the most performance possible to make our customers, our mutual customers, as competitive in these specific industries. So these really present the most opportunity for us when we talk about why workstation, why now. But of course, you have the middle piece with generative AI, and a lot of folks are sort of dipping their toe in the water. They've maybe explored some low-level robotic process automation, traditional AI, if you will. And now generative AI is really presenting a lot of customers with the ability to monetize and augment their business solutions even further. And we see this as an even bigger opportunity within our overall Lenovo portfolio. And this, of course, this does have a component of our ISG side, our infrastructure solutions group, in terms of what we can do with HPC and even some of the AI Innovator Program resources that we push in the enterprise side. But Workstations is still a pretty big part of this. And we'll talk about why at the end of this presentation of kind of where our Lenovo P series workstations fit into the client AI narrative, because I think at the end of the day, this is probably the lowest hanging fruit from a getting started with your AI implementation, developing a model before you scale out into a cloud or an on-prem implementation for your data growth and performance needs. So we certainly have a strong piece of that solution building block portfolio when it comes to how our customers want to explore AI, experiment with AI, and ultimately find the right answer, create the right efficiency they need for the organization, or how they're going to market with their products or their services, solutions, etc. So these three are really what we see as the biggest market opportunity overall. And when we talk about Lenovo, there's a lot of heritage of innovation, right? For the last 30 plus years, whether it's the Yoga Hinge that completely revolutionized the multi-mode PC market. But I do want to kind of remind everybody that workstations have a strong part of this innovation heritage. And starting 6 years ago, when we miniaturized the desktop workstation with our Tiny platform, so our P320 Tiny at the time, it was the smallest workstation, smallest ISV certified workstation at the time. It still is at 1 liters, 6 independent displays. We're now taking that product to a brand new territory with new performance we'll talk about later with our introduction of the P3 Tiny. And even from an edge compute analytics kind of off the shelf solution where you need an NVIDIA graphics card to give you a little bit more of a performance boost, this is a fantastic solution, along with our P3 Ultra, which is a tiny plus, if you will. And then in 2020, fast forward, we recognize a unique opportunity in the marketplace, really an enthusiast marketplace for Threadripper. And this informed the advent of Threadripper Pro in our ThinkStation P620. It's really taken the market by storm across a lot of different vertical industries, which we'll get into today. Big hit with our media and entertainment, game design, development, visual effects customer bases, because Threadripper has really delivered a whole different level of performance and a simple elegance in terms of choice when it comes to CPUs, but also playing very well with the performance our high-end graphics cards can deliver in those specific workflows, especially in the digital content creation space. And then, of course, this year, delivering the world's most advanced dual socket desktop workstation or data science rack mount workstation in our ThinkStation P10. So we've really come full circle in terms of elevating our innovation leadership, our performance leadership with these flagship innovative products among the entire Lenovo portfolio. So workstation is certainly a big part of that story. And as I mentioned, we have 4 unique pillars we build our mission on. And it really starts with a customer-driven innovation. How are they implementing some of these more emerging technologies, advanced technologies you see there on the 4th bullet? How are they implementing AI into their workflows, into their product design process? How are they implementing professional virtual reality or extended reality into their design reviews if I'm an architect or if I'm a product designer? That's what gets us out of bed to deliver some of these products and build these advanced solutions. And we've got a lot of customer examples I'd encourage you to take a look at in terms of success. If you're familiar with Tech Today, there's a whole workstation section that have a lot of different customers that have put these tools to use in their unique industries that are quite powerful in changing some of the world's bigger problems, but also delivering some pretty cool products and experiences to market in those unique spaces. Obviously, anything with a Think in front of it in the Lenovo portfolio is going to give you the legendary reliability. So it's trusted quality, it's the design approach, the maniacal focus on the durability of these systems, and that's not lost on our workstation portfolio. I'd say that a little more elusively, our entry miniaturized or ultra small desktop workstations are also mil-spec tested. So a lot of folks don't realize this. Every ThinkPad is going to be mil-spec tested with 22 procedures. You also have that with those two small desktop workstations you see on the left, our P3 Tiny and our P3 Ultra. So being able to deploy those in more ruggedized environments and giving you the flexibility of mounting ecosystem of accessories and knowing that it's going to run without fail, whatever my implementation, whatever my workflow optimization I'm after. And I think another piece that comes into play in terms of where we've set ourselves apart from our customer feedback and where we've had some success together and partnering with some customers in these various industries is technical expertise. And Greg on the phone, Greg Brill is our our NVIDIA business development manager for Workstations. He's a part of this, right? Navigating these emerging technologies, figuring out what's the right size, solution architecting a configuration for getting the best return on investment. But behind our workstation sales team that Greg helps with in terms of our specialists, there is a team of pre-sales engineers, solution architects that are right here in Raleigh, North Carolina, where I'm calling from today, in a working lab that are doing everything from authoring special installation guides for some of the more advanced solutions, or benchmarking competitive hardware on behalf of our customers to ensure that we give them the best TCO or the best ROI on a specific configuration based on their workflow and how we analyze their workflow. So keep this team in mind and leverage your workstation sales specialists in terms of your support team. There is a slide at the end of this presentation you'll have access to. It shows the full coverage of our workstation specialist organization. I'd say you can reach out to almost anyone on that chart, but you do have Michael Bryant that helps out with our VAR community as well as the distribution side. So use that team as a takeaway, if you will, to access this team of technical experts. That's your conduit, right? It is a free of charge service today, and that team has really done wonders for us overall with a lot of sophisticated, more advanced types of workflows and demonstrate a lot of value to our customers where they've continued to vote with their dollars in terms of our being a very fast growing workstation provider in the industry. So I want to make sure that was clear in terms of how you leverage that team, right? Leverage your workstation specialist as you go forward. Some of the innovations that you'll see this year, and you'll see it here very soon, kind of building on our partnership with Aston Martin. So with our launch of our ThinkStation P5, our ThinkStation P7, and then the ThinkStation P10 that you see pictured here, we've taken performance to a whole different level, but we've also taken the aesthetics, the usability, the ease of access, the design overall to a different level that we've not done before. This is a once in a decade launch where we partner with engineering, with Aston Martin on the engineering side to obviously improve airflow, accelerate the workflows that these systems will drive, because heat is obviously the enemy with all these systems, these particular implementations. We've already had a great design with our tri-channel chambered cooling approach, and Aston Martin helped us transcend that design with an improved front air baffle, inspired by their DBS, so one of their flagship supercars, if you will. I want to be clear, this is certainly a luxury supercar manufacturer in Aston Martin, out of London. But these are tools designed to accelerate any customer workflow, and they're not luxury tools. I want to be clear, there's not a funky connotation that we're charging luxury pricing for a new ThinkStation P10 because we are partnering with Aston Martin. That's not what we're all about. This is a democratization of these specific tools for our customers to be more competitive. What it is, though, is demonstrating our performance leadership with some of the best in their particular industry in terms of airflow and even some of the ergonomic designs that we've implemented. The side door having the same handle latch as the vehicle, the DBS from Aston Martin. So some of those low design, industrial design point inspirations have really taken shape. But as you can see also, this P10 is designed to be rack mounted or under a desk, and it does have a lot of traditional enterprise features to address some of the new creative ways our customers are deploying workstations, whether it's remote access workstations, something that a lot of organizations and institutions were forced to deal with during the pandemic, because obviously the professionals, the designers, the artists, they still have to stay on schedule and they need the right tools for the job, whether they're working from home or not. So we took a lot of the lead from our customer feedback in designing this P10. So getting hot swap front access storage that you see on the front in the exploded wheel. You also have dual redundant power supply options or teamed power supply options. And you have a fully rack optimized chassis as well at 5U, so easily deployable in a rack cabinet or under a desk. So we've taken a lot of those features in mind to deliver this product that you'll see continue to store in the market here in the next couple months. Really predicated on Intel Xeon scalable processors, up to 120 CPU cores, so just mounds of core density to attack almost any type of sophisticated workflow, whether it's in design, engineering, simulation, or some of these things we've talked about so far. As I said, mil-spec testing, continue to take this approach to the next level. You see their P3 Ultra there. That is a P3 Ultra small form factor. So this is our competitor where we've redefined what it is to be a small form factor in this industry. Competes very well versus HP's Z2 small form factor, Dell's 3460 small form factor, and a lot more performance. There you go, Greg. Very easy to work on. It does actually take the same chambered cooling approach, one single lever on the rear to easily access all the critical componentry. You don't even need a screwdriver to open it up like you do in the Tiny. So you can access the storage, the GPU, CPU very quickly. And what's best of all about this product is up to an RTX 4000 Ada generation small form factor graphics card as of today. We actually hit ship support on that new graphics card that was really purpose-built designed for this chassis, something we're really proud of with our partnership with NVIDIA that I'll let Greg talk about in a little bit. But that's the big differentiation. It can support a whole different level of graphics than our competition, but it is also mil-spec tested for those edge environments, those more ruggedized environments where you need a little bit more of a boost from a compute perspective that still fits inside of a mighty package of 3.9 liters of desktop workstation. And of course, as I mentioned, all ThinkPads, including our ThinkPad P series products, will be mil-spec tested for that trusted quality and peace of mind. A lot of new in 2023 across of our desktop workstation lineup, right? But I don't want to spend a whole lot of time here. We'll double click into some of the specifics of what's new this year. But a good way to visualize kind of where we position our products in terms of the typical workflows and those red boxes on the right, as well as the most common independent software vendors, on the far right. So what are most common in the AutoCAD, the CAD world, the CAD CAM world, the engineering world, 2D, 3D CAD, BIM applications, all your entry products on the bottom rung of this positioning chart, single threaded performance, good assortment of graphics cards in terms of the stack and where we put the ISV certifications, the peace of mind that knowing the system and the machine will run without fail and you'll get the support needed as an engineer or designer or what have you. But as you get up the stack, as you can see, we've really doubled down on our performance side of the portfolio, of course, with the P10 working its way down. And that does include the mobile side. So our P16 Gen 2 is the most powerful ThinkPad in the entire portfolio. We'll talk about that in a moment. It's not just the most powerful mobile workstation. It is the only ThinkPad that offers Intel's HX platform. So in terms of power use, development workflows, some of the early level AI practicing, P16 is a fantastic device. But we really do cover a lot of the full gamut of workflows that our customers are managing and utilizing in their unique environments, whether it's a mobile solution or a desktop solution, or now even a rack-mounted solution with our P7 and our P10. So in terms of what you may be having in discussions with your customers, if any of these buzzwords come up, if the ISVs you see in the right come up, if you're exploring and qualifying the questions on workflows, keep this in mind in terms of where a workstation will most benefit their overall performance in these workflows. All right, so what's new in 2023? A lot of text in here. I'm not going to go into all of this. A lot of this I've kind of already touched on, but I think it's important because, as I said, it's a once in a decade launch with our Xeon based platforms, our performance towers, P5, P7, P10. Um, it's predicated, of course, on Intel's Sapphire Rapids transition in terms of the scalable processors in the P10. So that's your only dual socket platform. Fantastic PCI expandability, up to 4 NVIDIA RTX 6000 ADA cards, something that's very unique in the industry today with that processor combination as well, up to 120 CPU cores. A lot of those great enterprise features that I touched on earlier. We'll also be bringing a whole different level of manageability into this portfolio at the end of this year in terms of a baseboard management controller. So in terms of those remote needs, being able to fully manage end to end, like you would at a data center implementation, we'll be bringing that capability into these products as well. As you move
Hey,
down the
Aaron,
stack,
one thing I want to add on the P10, just so you guys are aware, we can fit 4 double wide graphics cards and an additional card. So we can bring in those products like the Connect X6, 25 gigabyte, 50 gigabyte teamed controllers from NVIDIA that are coming to market. And that is
That's a
unique
really good
to our
point.
portfolio.
Yep. So you have little extra overhead, little extra room on the board. So if a customer is looking at dedicated GPU compute with the graphics card density that Greg mentioned, those 4 double wide GPUs, and they want one of those new smart NICs that we'll be pulling in from NVIDIA's portfolio later this year as well for HPC-esque workflows or just more demanding parallel processing applications. Data science is a big one. We can offer that and save spots on the board for more GPU compute, which is what really everybody is asking for today, right? The most GPUs in terms of these specific workflows. The P7 is certainly going to be probably the more popular system in terms of what you guys will see more volume, for lack of a better term, right? These are will a fleet of engineers or artists would be outfitted with our P7. That's going to be based on Intel's Super Single Socket. I'm sorry for the acronym. That's what the SSS stands for. Super Single Socket Expert Desktop Workstation. And this one revved up pretty significantly from a generation to generation perspective. So customers may be using an HP Z6 today, or a Dell Precision 7820, or even ThinkStation P720 or P920. Looking at a P7 would be a fantastic offering based on the latest architecture, because you can get double the core density now with the Sapphire Rapids W series processors on this chassis. So P720 yesterday maxed at, from a dual core perspective, we maxed at about 8 cores less than the 56 cores you see in the P7, all in a single socket, right? And we did redesign that chassis completely, just like we did the P10. It's been form fit to be natively racked in a 4U space for a traditional rack cabinet implementation. So whether it's at the desk or in a 4U space, you have that flexibility from a deployment perspective. Obviously, with Intel's architecture change, and this goes with everything on this slide, you get faster memory, you get faster storage. We went ahead and took the future proofing measure of equipping these systems, at least the P5, P7, P10, with PCIe Gen 5 slots. So as more and more storage suppliers adopt PCIe Gen 5 capabilities as we get into next year, and ultimately other adding card manufacturers, graphics cards, etc., rest assured that your customers, if they invest in one of these platforms, they'll be ready to take full advantage of that next generation of speed in terms of at the bus. So that's something we went ahead and did from a future proofing perspective. The P5, this is your Swiss Army kind of workhorse desktop workstation, the most common for CAD/CAM engineering applications, Autodesk, AutoCAD, Revit, MicroStation, all the CAD applications. If you really want the fastest memory bandwidth, a lot of dense PCI expansion for multiple graphics cards or other add-in cards with a very balanced CPU core density, but also more so a performance per dollar perspective, the P5 is a fantastic option. We kept the chassis roughly the same size, but we did incorporate a lot of the same touch points we talked about earlier in terms of the Aston Martin influence engineering and design. And then on the top, last but not least, our entry, and I work from top down, just sorry, my mind works a certain way. Top down in the portfolio, P10, all the way down to the entry. So you'll see in that exploded view, that's actually our P3 Ultra that Greg was showing you guys a second ago. and an exploded view. You can kind of see how the chamber design works. This is the second generation of the P3 Ultra, where we moved away from a legacy small form factor chassis. Really proud of this design. We're looking more and more looking forward to our customers adopting this system into these myriad different workflows that they will address. And it's just 4 liters, 3.9 liters to be exact. So it is half the size of the competition's small form factor. That's half the size with more performance in the graphics card, a great ecosystem of mounting accessories, whether it's under a desk or a Visa mount behind a monitor, just like our Tiny solutions. You have a more powerful Tiny now with the Ultra. And I just want to reinforce, I think I've said that a couple of times, but this is a small form factor. It's an ultra small form factor. We're not discreetly calling it small form factor in our marketing, and that may be why we could probably do a little better with this product. But overall, super competitive, super innovative, and we're looking forward to taking it to the next level in terms of this transition that we launched. The other 2 things that we did on the entry side with P3 is we redesigned the tower. So the tower was available in the P360 tower as a 17-liter chassis, fairly limited on the expandability front. We redesigned this chassis to increase the overall size to 27 liters, so it kind of went the other direction versus the miniaturized approach. But this was more so to give it a legacy kind of classic entry tower workstation setup to allow for more graphics card upgrades, allow for more thermal performance to support those more advanced graphics cards, which includes up to an RTX A6000 on NVIDIA's Ampere lineup in just a 27-liter chassis. And then finally, on the Tiny front, Tiny, as I showed earlier, we've kind of pioneered this chassis across our ThinkCenter lineup, now into our workstation lineup in terms of the miniaturized PC. And we're taking it to the next level this year. So in years past, actually, the entire history of Tiny, we've been limited with Intel's efficient processors. Those are those processors that end in a T. So they're 35-watt processors. They're perfectly capable, but there's been a little bit of a gap in terms of overall balanced performance when it comes to CPU versus GPU. We were able to implement a brand new thermal solution on the Tiny chassis, which included a improved top panel with more perforations to allow for more airflow, improved fan implementation. And this has allowed us to now, for the first time, include the full wattage processors from Intel 13th Gen Raptor Lake S architecture with a full wattage GPU. And now, of course, these GPUs are going to be limited to T400 or T1000, still perfectly capable for multi-monitor use cases, entry-level 2D, 3D CAD and CAM, great for education, great for security monitoring, some low-end digital signage, again at a 1-liter footprint, and supporting that type of GPU performance. It's super powerful for a lot of non-traditional workstation workflows. So this is what I have that's new in the desktop workstation land. I won't spend a whole lot of time here. This is more of a takeaway. So when you guys get these charts, review this little matrix. It's pretty handy overall when we think about where our towers line up, right? This is our performance towers on our P3 tower all the way up to the P10 we talked about, where they line up in the traditional advanced workflows by vertical industry. So whether it's the core of engineering and architecture, which is the grand majority of where a lot of these products will ultimately live, but also some of the more growth-oriented verticals in healthcare and life science, media and entertainment. We talked about the P620 being very popular in media and entertainment. And you even have some of the more horizontal technologies like data science and what we call client AI. We'll spend a little more time talking about that momentarily. So reference this. It should give you a starting point, at least in terms of some of the buzzwords and where you want to start with a product to solution architect what a customer needs in a desktop workstation. All right, let's pivot real quick to mobile workstation, and we'll pass it over to Greg. So from a mobile workstation front, we've done a lot of refreshes. What I mean by that is, picking up Intel's latest Raptor Lake 13th Gen processors, which, with that you get faster memory, some faster storage performance, obviously updated CPU architecture with more performance there. But we also cut in some new NVIDIA graphics cards. So introducing more of the latest 8th generation graphics across the platform, across all of these platforms, is super powerful. From a clean sheet perspective, the only thing we did this year was clean sheet our P16V value. So V stands for value. This will be the follow-on to the P15V, and yes, that's right. We're finally cutting over the entire portfolio from 15-inch display panels to 16-inch display. I would say that Lenovo, in a way, was sort of ahead of the game in terms of introducing the 16-inch panel a few years back with our P1. And as you can see over the last couple of years, most of the OEMs are starting to follow suit. The days of the 15-inch display are rapidly moving to a larger display with a 16:10 aspect ratio. It gives you a lot more vertical real estate. It really does feel like a 15-inch chassis with just a little bit more screen real estate for productivity enhancements as we've increased or decreased the screen to body, screen to bezel ratio. So it's not doing too much to increase the chassis size. It's really just the screen that gets bigger, which is fantastic. So the P16V will be your Intel or AMD H-class value-based mobile workstation. Fantastic for entry engineering design applications. Great for education and technical curricula because we do keep a certain price point for access and entry into that space for an ISV certified mobile workstation. The biggest things we did from a clean sheet design perspective, listening to the voice of our customers in terms of feedback on the P15V, we implemented a dual heat pipe thermal implementation, which allows for better thermal performance, lower skin temperatures, and obviously better acoustics. So less fan noise, which is super helpful for our customers that are working on, the profit centers for a lot of these organizations, meeting the deadlines for whatever product experience or service that they're delivering to their market. So that's obviously a big point of improvement, what we did with the P16V. Everything else on here, guys, like I said, is more refresh oriented. We did introduce a few more consumer graphics offerings in the P1 Gen 6. For those that are not aware, if you're familiar with the old X1 Extreme, if you didn't notice, didn't have a follow-on this year, and that's because X1 Extreme collapses into the P1, right? The P1 Gen 6 is your X1 Extreme transition model. The dirty little secret here is it was always leveraging the same chassis. It was just different positioning based on where our customers needed certain graphics technologies, and now you have that kind of consolidated into one platform, which is great news. Simplifies the portfolio, makes it easier for you all and hopefully our customers. Obviously, some of the enhanced video conferencing capabilities with a higher resolution webcam, and then even implementing applied AI with human presence detection. So being able to dynamically secure your system if you walk away based on vision tracking through the camera, which is pretty I would say contemporaneous in terms of the trend of AI overall. So that's what's new in ThinkPad. I won't go into all these, more of a similar to the desktop workstation that I showed you earlier, more of a keep this handy as you think about user personas. We talk a lot about user and buyer personas when it comes to mobility, because frankly, there's requirements with desktop workstations, depending on what you're doing, what your workflow looks like, what applications you're using, how many multiple applications are you using, where you're just going to need a desktop to get the job done properly. And you're sitting at a desk, and you might have other pieces of your digital wardrobe. But when it comes to mobility, there's definitely a persona-based approach here in terms of performance versus mobility versus price. And as you can see, entry all the way up to performance, we cover the gamut, right? So whether it's everyday power users, folks like you and I that are knowledge workers that might get a benefit from a GPU, and I'll let Greg talk more about that here shortly, but the reality is a lot of what NVIDIA has done, and to be sure, everything that is in our P-Series lineup has NVIDIA's core graphics technology. It's an option for professional visualization or just everyday workflow acceleration. And that's where this entry portfolio comes into place. For the first time this year, we'll offer an RTX graphics card on the entry mobile workstations, your P14S for ultra portability, and your P16S for a more portable 16-inch entry mobile workstation. Now, this goes to the Intel platforms only. Yes, these are available in a Ryzen flavor with AMD Ryzen Gen 4 and their Phoenix refresh. Those ones are integrated graphics only. They don't have an NVIDIA graphics card. So if your customers want an Intel-based entry workstation, the RTX A500 that'll be equipped in these platforms, the P14S, P16S, really do enhance the hybrid workflow, if you will, that I think is a an added benefit for professionals, but maybe even just power users that can get a little more productivity out of some of the tools on the software side that NVIDIA offers that I use every day personally. And I'm not an engineer or designer, but I can tell you right now, it's certainly accelerated my workflow. We talked about the entry H class, the P15V becoming the P16V. That is also available in an AMD variant. Students, educators, administrators, hospital administrators, nurses, and in that space, mid-range, intermediate 3D workflows, fantastic systems. The P1 on the second from the top is going to be your ultra premium flagship, right? This is our, in 8 out of 10 cases, the P1 is going to solve what a customer wants from a mobile perspective in that particular persona. It's going to give you the most premium experience in terms of Dolby Atmos for AV performance. It's got a unique woven carbon fiber top panel, so you get a little bit more differentiation from the overall ID. It's got blackout paint in the logo, so it's what we say, it's the device you want, but the machine you need, right? So it's still got the performance to get the job done, all the way up to an NVIDIA RTX 5000 8th generation graphics card, 64 gigs of memory, plenty of CPU compute, plenty of fast storage, and it's only at 4 pounds. So you still have a thin and light 16-inch mobile workstation that's easy to travel with and still perfectly performance capable. But obviously the top end of the portfolio, as I mentioned, is your ThinkPad P16. P16 Gen 2, going up to the second generation of our 16-inch introduction for the most powerful ThinkPad. This is predicated on Intel's HX CPU platform. So massive levels of performance on a mobile device, not just workstation. Again, the most powerful ThinkPad, and of course, plenty of GPU performance as well. Where the P16 sets itself apart from the P1, it does have a advanced thermal design to support those processors at 55 watts. It also has a little more expandability from a memory and storage perspective. So it really does approach the level of desktop replacement mobile device. And with that, you're going to get some trade-offs on mechanical, right? It's going to be a little heavier at 6.5 pounds versus 4 pounds on the P1. A little bit different battery life, as you can imagine. But overall, this is the device that's no compromises, extreme performance with the P16 Gen 2. All right, I'm going to wrap up here and pass it to you, Greg. But I mentioned up front this idea of AI and how our customers are adopting these technologies, how we're adopting it as Lenovo, right? This is something that I think for a decade plus, Lenovo has already implemented AI in a lot of our processes, whether it's in logistics, parts planning, human presence detection, like I mentioned earlier, and our partnerships in the past with companies like Mirametrix for eye tracking and computer vision in a device security approach, right? It's been 6 years since we partnered with Mirametrix, on our ThinkPads. But when it comes to workstations, our business unit at Lenovo, it was renamed 6 years ago, Workstations and Client AI. So in a lot of ways, this is not really new to us. And it really comes down to our very powerful partnership with NVIDIA, seeing a lot of the opportunity coming down the pipe in terms of where these technologies, which are truly decades old, if we look at the evolution of AI and what it is, are coming full circle with the availability of accessible compute and the advancements of graphics technology. But what a lot of customers may not realize is that they're probably already using AI in their workflow today, especially in the professional side of workflows, right? These ISVs that I've pointed out here, whether it's Adobe Creative Suite, and the AEC side with Creo, Ansys, Altair, even geospatial computing with ArcGIS, all these applications are implementing AI acceleration into their workflows. So if you have a device that can take advantage of those workflows, aka NVIDIA GPU, you're going to get the benefit. And we always say, choose the right tool for the job, right? If you're not equipped and ready with what NVIDIA has been bringing to market and working very closely, I might add, with these ISV application providers, then you're not going to get the full benefit and be competitive in your own marketplace, right? I would say this is probably 20% of where AI fits into our overall narrative at Lenovo in terms of our PC devices group, right? And that's including of workstations. We've been doing this a long time, working with NVIDIA, partnering with NVIDIA. The other 80%, I think, is a unique opportunity. We are looking to really transcend, take it to the next level, and that's on what we call AI and data science ready workstations. We've offered data science workstations in a traditional branding approach for 4 or 5 years now. working with both Intel and NVIDIA. And at the end of the day, it's really a getting started, integrated solution, turnkey, preloaded with some of the applications framework a data professional would need to get started on whatever data science project they're trying to pursue. But what we've seen now is with generative AI and the advancement of no-code, low-code solutions for anybody, truly democratizing these technologies to get started and experiment and iterate and figure out where they want to really invest as they scale out further into either a cloud or an infrastructure solution that might be on-prem. And this is really where data science workstation, AI-ready data science workstations really could excel in terms of our portfolio, whether it's training, retraining on a ThinkStation P7, or it's just getting started on the initial model development on a ThinkPad P16. So really end-to-end, mobile to desktop, and then ultimately to either cloud or infrastructure as the data requirements for a at-scale, production environment, AI tool or general purpose tool that AI is offering. That's the journey, right? And of course, our ISG group, our infrastructure solutions group, have solutions there as well in the HPC side. So end-to-end, partnering with Lenovo, it couldn't be a better time, whether it's getting started on AI or scaling out further into our infrastructure solutions. That's the 80% opportunity I really see that will be a tool across multiple industries, because everybody's hiring these types of data professionals to aid efficiencies, increase productivity, find certain answers, whether it's robotic process automation or it's retail recommender systems, you name it, across the board. Cybersecurity mitigations and finance. There's a lot of questions and that will be answered by our customers and how they adopt and how they really explore the limits of solving some of these bigger problems with these types of systems overall. And we look forward to that partnership. I think, Greg, you have a couple examples you want to click on, so I'm going to pass it over to you and maybe even have some real-time examples of how this stuff works behind the scenes. So I will pass it to you, sir.
Aaron, I'm going to jump in as Greg enables his screen share. Aaron, there were some questions. Yeah. I'd love to address just one of them as Greg gets ready. The question earlier was, how does Lenovo address cybersecurity concerns for business users? If you could just spend maybe 60 seconds on that as I see Greg is getting ready, I think that would help out some of our live audience and also those watching on demand later.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And I'd say, from Lenovo's perspective, a lot of the software solutions that we pull in from a partnership perspective, we see a lot of power in partnership where there's folks that, whether it's on the Ivanti side or, some of the other semantic side, whatever partnership it's going to be in our suite of ThinkShield services and offerings, we want to pull in who's best at what they do, right? Not to say that, we might not be exploring some particular, Lenovo does build software, right, and deliver to our markets, but when it comes to the specialty types of strategies and in a security and, mitigation perspective from a cybersecurity side, that power is through partnership and bringing in the key players that are trusted in those particular tool sets as we architect solutions for our customers if that is a concern, and that's something we need to overcome. So it's really through that network of partnerships you see with our ThinkShield suite of products.
Additionally, I'd like to add to that, Aaron, that Lenovo, despite some rumors out there, we can address just about any instance of where we come from and who we are. We've had recent wins at Federal Administration for Veteran Affairs, and there's nothing to shy away from because of who we are. We're very clear and candid about our heritage and what we can deliver. Most of our workstations are TA compliant, meaning they're produced in countries that are acceptable to the federal government. So not an issue. The other part of that partnership is we've got a great partnership with Intel and AMD, which is unique, right? To get workstations with NVIDIA GPUs running on AMD, when oftentimes they're seen as competitors within the space, we're here to provide the solutions that your customers need. So let's go ahead and jump right in, and we're going to take a break from PowerPoint. What I want to show you is how you can enable AI applications that will benefit from a graphic. So on a typical desktop, just right-click and come down to Display Settings, and what you'll see is you can scroll down to this Graphic Settings. and you can GPU enable your applications. What you'll find is these applications frequently take advantage of the different cores within those GPUs. So NVIDIA Broadcast is what I'm using to blur my screen or blur my background on my camera. I'd love to show you that. I'll send you a link to what that is so that you can understand why it can show and not blur out something that's in front of it when you showcase it, because it's using AI to determine what objects are in front of the camera, which is in between the camera and the person, along with reducing audio noise, so you don't hear background noise, you don't hear echoes within the space within Teams. But if you just GPU enable a basic application like Microsoft Excel, you just come in here to your browse. You can find the shortcut for whatever that may be. So in this instance, let's go ahead and pull in CoChat. Or actually, let's bring in, like if we were to bring in OneNote, right? All I do is click Add and see it come in here. Click on Options, and then change it to GPU. And what that's going to do is it's going to GPU enable that application. It'll run faster within that application. What Microsoft doesn't tell you is that these applications are capable of having advanced compute utilized for them so that they run faster. So for an example, right, I had a customer that was doing Department of Corrections work, right? So they had a lot of PCs that were looking at the same camera feeds and throughout a jail and a prison system. And that application got an update and it pegged the CPU at 99%, right? So completely just fans on, throttling, couldn't work in that application effectively. We GPU enabled that application. It reduced it to less than 50% CPU compute. They were able to get along with their day. We were able to talk to them, have that conversation, future-proof them. And this past month, we quoted them the P3 Ultras with an A2000 graphics card. So now they're 4K ready if they decide to upgrade those cameras. And then also got them on an extended warranty so that they would not have to worry about replacing equipment outside of warranty. They'd be ready for the future with that. So we did that back in June. We delayed the sale a couple months, but we got the customer something that they would then be able to budget for when their budget reset, but then also allowed them to continue about their daily operations just by GPU enabling the application. And I encourage you, if you've got a GPU in your system, to go ahead and do so, and you'll see a huge benefit from that. So how do you know what GPUs are in which systems? Well, we've got that for you too. So if you notice on all of our Intel products, we have the ability of anything that says RTX, right? RTX is where you get the differentiated cores within the GPU. So there's 3 types of cores: CUDA cores, Tensor cores, and RT cores. CUDA cores are your polygons. RT are your ray tracing cores. So that's what makes Chrome look Chrome. It's what gives you your shadows and your shading faster within your image. But the Tensor cores are those AI cores, and that's typically what your AI and data science engineers are going to be looking at that for account. But notice that that's nearly across the entire product line. This is the full Intel product line, not available in the base AMD product. So available here in the P16V, but not in this S line from the AMD side. But you see there's a full suite of products all the way across the board that we can put AI cores in those mobile systems so that we can get better compute times and better rendering within our customers' environments and let them compute faster. If you haven't done so, we can send out a PDF that shows you how to do this. It's really easy and it's great. Great performance enhancement. It will affect your battery life a little bit, but you can always turn that off if need be. On the desktop side, looking for that RTX to enable that feature, we start, of course, in our P3 Ultra. We can get an A2000. We also have unique A5000 mobiles and A5500 mobiles, along with, as of today, this lovely RTX 4000 SFF Ada. Make sure you remember this SFF because NVIDIA has not announced one that's not the small form factor double wide. It's going to be a full height card replacing this guy. So the A4000 will have a follow-on product along with the A5000 in the near future within our product lines. Do realize that when we talk about our Ultra system, please consider it a small form factor. It used to be called a small form factor, ultra small form factor, but we've kind of abbreviated that. But it is by all means competing up there with the in the same space as that tiny, or if you're familiar with the Dell products, the Dell 3260. And we've got a wide range of graphics card options within that box that make it unique to our solution. That said, we've got a whole team available to you guys that we can bring onto your calls, bring into your customer accounts, whether it's optimizing a data science workstation or providing you with the next gen or whatever your compute level is, making sure that we configure your system appropriately for your customers so that they get the maximum benefit out of their dollars. And with that, I think we're ready to kind of wrap it up. I don't know if we want to go ahead and share the base slides again and showcase the entire team that we've got, or our social media links that we're very proud of, and follow us on our platforms so that we can see, you can see what we do within the space. We do appreciate your time today. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, and we'll get to those as soon as we can.
Excellent. Thank you, Greg. And thank you, Aaron, earlier too. Folks watching live or on demand, on the screen right now are some QR codes that you can access some social media to the various platforms that are listed there. So folks, I encourage you to email your D&H Lenovo specialist with any questions at this point. Again, that's Lenovo specialist at dnh.com. They'll be able to contact you directly with the direct answers and also get you in touch with Aaron or Greg if needed. Now, I mentioned the PartnerFi program earlier. So folks, if you are a member of the PartnerFi community from D&H, thank you so much for joining us today. Lenovo was generous enough to raffle off 8 different Amex gift cards at $250 each for our PartnerFi members who are in attendance during this live session. So during the time that Aaron and Greg were speaking, I ran a report and did our random generator for the following 8 folks. We'll email you directly, but I want to announce them live on behalf of Lenovo. Thank you, Lenovo, for your generosity. Kurt Bottom from Accountability, Jason Gordon from Avacity Tech, Eric Heyman for KST Data, Cynthia Marin with MRI International, Glenn Miller with DI Tech, Craig Nickel with Goliath Tech, Cami Parks with Eastern Data, and Carol Taylor with Saehi Computer Products. I read them quickly, so folks, I will contact you all directly from our PartnerFi team with that generous offer from Lenovo. So thank you very much for joining us. And folks who are just our D&H partners all around, we appreciate all of your time this afternoon if you're live, and especially if you're sharing this with your colleagues or watching it again on demand. We're looking forward to growing our business with you. So on behalf of Aaron and Greg and your Lenovo team at D&H, thank you again for joining us for the sales enablement opportunity to push the limits of productivity with Lenovo NVIDIA Workstations. We appreciate your time. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.